Hello, everyone. Ex-Wall Kill, Bethelite and Serenity, the XJW couple here. And we want to talk a little bit about some of the changes that have gone on with regards to disfellowshipping. And we want to talk about the impact that could have, what we think about it. And Serenity's going to share some thoughts on, I think, the blood.
Sure.
The blood thing. Let me turn this fan off. This fan is just blowing all in my ear over here. Would you like to start?
About the blood?
Yeah, while I turn this thing off.
Yeah, it was update number 6 that basically, that basically says that I forgot what country it was, but basically there was a sister who went in for medical treatment and she was unconscious and they basically gave her blood against her wishes, but it saved her life. But she went to court to say that they basically...
Hey, you can turn it down.
Okay.
Because we know.
There we go. All right.
There we go.
Basically, they performed the blood transfusion against her wishes. So that's what she sued for. And she won, apparently. And now that they went on the update saying that now everyone in Europe, has the right to their own medical decisions, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah. That was what I was going to talk about, because it's crazy that they take the principle of do not eat blood and made it into this whole doctrine where you can't have a blood transfusion no matter what. Even if you're pregnant and you're going to have a baby and the baby's life is on the line as well as your own, you're still not supposed to take it. Now, I already did a video about this because Jehovah's Witnesses aren't just, this religion pretending to be Christians, but it's darker than that. So for them to have this policy, it's basically all these people having human sacrifices. That's what it is. And no, I'm not being, oh my goodness, but I also discussed about the whole thing about child sacrifice. I won't get into that here though. Yeah. But anyway, I was just thinking that Christians, Jehovah's Witnesses especially, supposedly value life. They're going to say they're, against abortions. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What's the term? Is it pro-life?
I've never heard of JW say pro-life, but I'm guessing that's what it is.
Abortion is wrong, but it's okay if you need a blood transfusion as a person who's expecting and you're going to need blood during that delivery and you and the baby die, but that's okay. But abortions aren't. So this is where their thinking is off, because you don't agree with abortion, but yet you're going to have this policy where it says nowhere in the Bible you can't have a blood transfusion, because that technology wasn't even there. And they also said, they allow you to make a conscious decision about blood fractions, which come from whole blood product. How much sense does that make? If you're allergic to milk, let's say, right? Mm-hmm. You can't have milk, but they break it down into different things like whey, casein, a milk protein, that type of thing. You're allergic to milk, but it's like saying, I can't have milk, but because you broke it down into these things, that protein that's still bad is going to make me sick, but you're going to take it because it's broken down. It's kind of food, but this is your life I'm talking about, like a life. And you're going to sit here with this policy that kills people, saying that this is the better thing, this and that. It's crazy to me how Jehovah's Witnesses are that ignorant, that they're okay, yeah, I'm going to give my life up because they said so. And we're going to base it on this principle, which has nothing to do with the medical procedure that I'm about to have. I mean, there are cultures that actually eat blood. They literally slit the throat. And I'm thinking about, there's some tribes that do it. They slit the throat and drink blood. There's certain things like the soup. Is it borscht? Not borscht. That's beets. It's some other soup that they use blood as the broth in the soup. They do. It's different cultures. I mean, I'm not into that, but, But yeah, that's my thing. I just think it's ridiculous that now they have this law throughout Europe that if a doctor who is there to help you live a better life and try and save your life in certain circumstances, now a doctor, because of this law, because of Jehovah's Witnesses fighting, are going to be hesitant to even help people now. They don't think about this. They think it's a win. But think of yourself as that doctor performing a surgery, and now you're afraid of being sued. So instead of trying to save that life, you're going to be worried about getting sued. So you're like, whatever.
People going to die. So that's
you
that's
as a
the
grown
point.
adult, yeah,
That's the point.
you're
Because
making a decision for an unborn child.
if I'm a doctor and I have spent how many years? 10 years in school to become a doctor, and I finally became a doctor. 12.
Residency.
I don't know what it is. I've spent all this money. I've dedicated my entire life to becoming a doctor. No one in their right mind, when a patient is going to die without a procedure, is going to think,
let me just let them die.
Let's not do the procedure. No one in their right mind is going to think that. So if there's any question at all about anything, and this person needs blood or they're going to die, most likely the doctor, I would have done it, is going to, let's save their life. Let's save their life. If you don't save their life, and there was some kind of miscommunication, or they really did want blood and they died, then you're going to get sued because you didn't save their life. So Jehovah's Witnesses suing people because doctors are trying to save lives is going to end up getting people killed, because now, instead of just being a normal human being and saying, hey, let's just do what we need to do as these patients come in, because there's some hospitals where I'm talking patients are coming in all the time. Let's just do what we need to do as they're coming in bleeding out to save their lives. Now, because of Jehovah's Witnesses suing doctors for saving lives, they may have a meeting. Doctors may have meetings and say, hey, we got to go through all these procedures first, ask all these questions, fill out all this paperwork out, and then we'll work on people after we're sure they're not going to sue us for saving their lives.
Yep.
So, hey, human beings, we're humans. So there's going to be doctors that are going to say, hey, fill out the paperwork. If they die before this paperwork is filled out, hey, we can't be getting sued by people. You know what I mean? I can't be losing my practice for doing the common sense right thing. So think about all the people that might end up dying, and all those people need to know it's Jehovah's Witnesses' fault that you're dying. Because I did a video before about Watchtower using the term governing body, and that throwing people off because that's in the Bible. It's not in the Bible. I looked. I thought it was in the Bible. Then I looked, and I couldn't find the term governing body in the freaking Bible. So Jehovah's Witnesses are on a level that the word cult doesn't even accurately describe them, because a cult, you're following some charismatic leader. Jehovah's Witnesses, not only are they not following anybody, there's no charismatic person there. Not only are they not following any charismatic person, but the term governing body is not even in the Bible. So it's not like they think, oh, this is the governing body of the Bible times. The word is not even in the Bible. They have no reason at all to take the advice of a group of men in New York that tell them, sue your doctors if they try to save your life. They have no reason to take these people's advice. They're not charismatic. They're not Jim Jones. The term is not in the Bible. We have reached a level of stupidity And it's like we're not making fun of them when we say that. This is just the truth. We've reached a level of stupidity that I don't think any other cult in history has ever reached.
That's kind of the point, though.
You can name the cult, and I'll show you. They had a charismatic leader that legitimately tricked them. Jehovah's Witnesses. They don't. Before the broadcast, a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses didn't even know who the governing body members were.
No.
They would follow procedure that dictates whether or not they could have certain medical practices from people whom they didn't know their names prior to the broadcast. Because they think Jehovah's doing it. Jehovah's doing everything. You are talking a level of stupidity. So with the changes regarding the disfellowshipping, making it to where they're supposed to take more steps now before they disfellowship people. People wonder why Jehovah's Witnesses don't wake up. Because are you telling me the way Jehovah feels about immorality has changed? In 2024 and beyond, Jehovah is not as upset about immorality, so he wants Watchtower or Jehovah's Witness to be slower about disfellowshipping. Instead of a person being disfellowshipped for 6 months to a year, I think I heard it's a couple of months now. Has Jehovah lightened up? Jehovah is not feeling as strongly about these things. Why doesn't this wake people up? And I think the reason being is you're dealing with a level of stupidity, but not in the sense of each individual person who becomes a Jehovah's Witness just so happens to be stupid. No, it's a method of brainwashing that leaves a person either not capable of thinking for themselves after so much time, or they're so busy trying to read watchtowers, prepare for meetings, then you got to go to work, then you got stuff going on in the family, then you go to the meeting, then you got to carry microphones, you got to do the sound, you got parts. They're not thinking. They're not thinking, they're just doing, and they're just busy. Then they're standing out next to cards. That's not even really a good excuse anymore, because before you had people trying to get 90 hours of service in. You had people busier. You had people trying to get 70 hours of service in. So yeah, back in the day, people were kept busy. I was working and pioneering. So if I wasn't asleep trying to go to sleep, I was at work. If I wasn't at work, I was preparing for a meeting, or I was out in field service, or I was at a meeting. And when I was at a meeting, I never had time to sit down. I was either an attendant, I was doing the sound, or I had a part. It was constant being busy.
Because you believed what you were doing was for the good, right?
Of course. Of course I did. But usually people, to wake up, they have to have a reason to wake up. People don't, Serenity doesn't just wake up and then just question everything in life. I don't wake up and just question every method to see if, you know what I mean? I need to just change my thinking on something. Normally I just go about my day because I'm busy. We're busy people. So normally something has to happen to stop and make you think. And Bethel was it for me. When I went to Bethel and I saw the misconduct, I saw the homosexuality, I saw the racism, I saw all the my lands. Marriage don't mean nothing at Bethel, because it being somebody's wife don't mean nothing as far as her coming up out of closets with other Bethelites and whatnot. Like it's crazy. The sex stuff is crazy. It's got to be crazier at Bethel than it is on freaking reality shows. You could do a reality show of sex in Bethel, not Sex in the City, sex in Bethel. Could be its own reality show. Once I saw all of that, and then I thought to myself, I didn't wake up. I didn't wake up right after I saw all that stuff. I thought to myself, Jehovah wants me. See, this is how Jehovah's Witnesses think. Somehow Jehovah's involved. Jehovah put me here. Jehovah wants me to see all this so that me and other people like me that are coming to Bethel can help change it. Maybe we're being trained to take their place so Jehovah can get rid of all these people doing all this crazy sexual immorality and all the racism and all the things that were going on at Bethel. Well, once they had the layoffs, and then I'm called in the room and told, well, Jehovah kind of changed his mind, so now you need to, find something else to do, go somewhere else. How do you make sense of that? How is Jehovah going to fix Bethel now? Jehovah just showed me all this stuff about Bethel. I had to grab my cup because Bernie jumped on the couch and was about to put his nose right over the cup.
Waving Bernie for your cup.
He did.
Yes, Bernie.
So when they were saying for me to leave Bethel, not me, but a lot of people, it's like, okay, well, how are we going to fix Bethel? Why did Jehovah bring me to Bethel for to begin with? Why did he show me all this stuff to then have me leave? How is he going to fix Bethel now? He's not getting rid of all these people, because I remember leaving, and I remember one of the racist people were still there. So there was no way for my mind, the reason why I started to wake up is there is no way for me mentally to make sense of it anymore. Then I get back from Bethel, having experienced Bethel, and I'm sitting at the Kingdom Hall, and a brother who has never been to Bethel gets up on stage and then begins to tell the congregation how it is at Bethel. I'm sitting there thinking, this dude's lying out of his teeth. He's just speaking out of ignorance. He's just saying whatever he saw in the watchtower. That ain't how Bethel is. I know. I was there. So now I've got to try to make sense of this. Why is Jehovah putting people up on the stage to lie about Bethel? It gets to a point where it's impossible to not wake up. And that, I think, is where Watchtower's headed. It's getting to the point where it's impossible not to wake up. They're changing disfellowshipping. They've got all these other changes going on in regards to field service, lowering the hour requirement. They're changing so much that a person has got to start thinking, is Jehovah changing his mind on all these things, or is it Watchtower? I think people sometimes have to have, a real kick in the pants, so to speak, to get them to wake up. Because Bethel was definitely my kick in the pants. Like literally, you have to find a way to make sense of all this stuff. Because now I got to reapply for jobs. I had a job prior to going to Bethel. Now I have to reapply for jobs and start that all over again. What was the point in leaving my job to go to Bethel for Jehovah to say, oh, never mind? What was the point then? You know what I mean? You can't make sense out of that. So I think that all these changes are getting to the point where there is not going to be any excuse. I think people really need to speak out about the what Serenity brought up about the blood thing. Jehovah's Witnesses suing doctors for saving people's lives. That needs to be everywhere. That needs to be talked about everywhere. Everybody needs to know about it.
It's just the whole mentality of it's stupid.
It is stupid.
You're a doctor. You're like, okay, I tried this, but now I know that this person will die if I don't do this. So now you, with your conscience, have to live with, even if you let them die. Let's say you let them die. But just the thought of knowing that you could have saved them could haunt you literally for maybe even your whole life. Whether or not they had that thing signed or not. Because you know you could have saved them.
And think about the
but
doctors.
But you couldn't. You had to literally let a person die.
Think about what if it's possible there might be some doctors that might not be the most moral people in the world. And they may use the Jehovah's Witness ruling as an excuse if somebody dies now.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Hey, I had to. I couldn't just go in and give them blood. They needed it right then, but I couldn't just go in and give them blood. That could wind up being the excuse. I wouldn't doubt it if a person's about to lose their freaking license and they're in front of a board of how did this person die. Hey, you heard about them Jehovah's Witnesses? They're suing people for just taking swift action to save lives. I don't know.
No, because you wouldn't. It's one thing if you have the actual document that says, do not perform this, even though it'll save my life. You know what I'm saying? But for you as a doctor, even you as a regular person, if you're sitting there watching someone and you know you can save them, but because you're afraid of being sued, you just figure, let them, let's say a car is coming and you could yell or even push them out of the way, but what if I push them and I break their arm? I save their life, but they might sue me. So you just let them get hit. You know what that's kind of the concept.
That's what I'm saying.
That's stupid.
What I'm saying.
It's stupid.
People think now, because they don't want to get sued, you don't want that to be your doctors, though. People in general think now before they act because they don't want to get sued. If somebody's getting beat up along the side of the road, there's probably a time where people would just jump out their cars and jump in and intervene. Now, because of some of the things that have happened, people might be a whole lot slower to act as they're wondering, I could get sued by the person I'm trying to help. That's what happened, I think, to the doctor. I don't know all the details, but you don't want doctors to be slow to act in certain situations because it's like, we got to find out if this person is in the cult. Because this person is in the cult and we save them, then we're going to get sued and the hospital's going to get shut down and the world's going to be over. So,
well, that's the thing. If they have the card, that basically is saying that if they need blood and you've done everything you can, but blood is absolutely necessary.
That's like the do not resuscitate.
You still can't give them blood, so you just got to let them die.
DNR, do not resuscitate.
And that, for you letting them die, that little thing, that little card that they have is your thing to not get sued because they died, because they wanted to. So any family member coming that is not a witness who doesn't understand that, they can't say we're going to sue you. They're going to be like, this is their card. This is what we have on record. They said no blood, and that was the only way to save them, so that's that.
But you shouldn't have, with all the changes, with disfellowshipping, you shouldn't have what I used to have growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, and that is a back room. When you go into the Kingdom Hall, the back room that has the glass, behind that back room, 8 people disfellowship. Like, back in the day, I remember darn near everybody that was younger was disfellowship. Because elders had, I don't know what it was, but elders had a thing for trying to find out any little thing anybody younger was doing sexually or anything a person younger was doing to where they could disfellowship. Everybody, when I was younger, everybody in my age group darn near was disfellowship. Like they were DFing everybody. I used to go to different halls to quote unquote widen out, make friends, and I couldn't because everybody was disfellowship. So the only good thing about that change is that should soften that up. We'll have to see if that does or does it, but you shouldn't have tons of people DF. And I think that, and if they do, it should just be for a month or two, because one good thing about that.
They shouldn't do it in the first place.
No, they shouldn't.
Period.
They shouldn't, obviously.
They're following Paul, who wasn't even a Christian. He came up with his own version of Christianity.
But one good thing about that is there were tons of disfellowship people that were still indoctrinated. They were disfellowship, but they were still indoctrinated. They would literally stop going to meetings. They would get tired of getting not spoken to. And they would just be at home, not attending meetings, but still indoctrinated. And I think that's where some of the suicides came from. You had people, their mother wasn't talking to them. They still freaking believed the religion. So they believed that they didn't deserve to be getting talked to. They thought Armageddon was coming any day and they're going to die anyway. Like, that stuff was so, that disfellowshipping and shunning and all that sort of thing is so bad that even though Watchtower is making changes for money, I think it's Norway, right? So that they can get some kind of subsidy from Norway. The reason for the changes, is one thing. That should wake people up. But the actual change itself is something to where I want shunning to stop altogether. So anything that's moving in that direction, in my mind, is a good thing. Because it doesn't stop people from doing stuff. It never has. Bethel is buck wild. And people can get disfellowshipped at Bethel. And it's worse. It's worse at your local congregation. You're getting read off to your congregation. At Bethel, it's freaking at morning worship. Your name is read off at freaking morning worship. Everybody knows you DF. You know what I mean? So
it's okay.
But it's still buck wild.
When you just, I don't know.
It's still sex in Bethel. Instead of sex in the city, it's still sex in Bethel. So it doesn't work. The disfellowshipping concept doesn't work anyway. It's just torturing people. So
they need to just stop following men, period. People are so busy searching for something and following something, they don't realize the answers are within them in the first place.
Yeah.
Period. Because you're giving it's like you're searching for everywhere except where the true answers are.
The concept is foreign to Jehovah's Witnesses. That concept is extremely foreign to Jehovah's Witnesses. Of the answer being within is just very foreign to them. The answers are within Watchtower for a Jehovah's Witness.
That's why they keep telling them, because they use fear for people to keep doing the same thing without veering. Because once they veer, it's like, boom, they wake up.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as they
people be wondering where Bernie is. Here's Bernie. It's Boinsterelli.
Yes, his tongue sticks out all the time.
And of course, here's Lily. But yeah, Bernie's still here. He's over there laying down. He's like, I'm bothering him when he comes over here, so he's laying down over there. But yeah, hopefully it stops. The shunning stops. And you have anything else to add? I don't think I've got anything else.
No, it's basically that if you're following any group or religion that actually hurts people, I mean really hurts people, even has them take their own lives for various reasons, that's not the true religion. That's not from God. That's from somewhere else. That's all I have to say. Especially if they don't want you looking anywhere else, trying to convince you that everything else is fake except them, that's when you really need to question.
Yeah.
The whole world can't be wrong and they're the only ones right. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Everybody can't be wrong. Bye. And then a group of men in New York is right. And they're not talking to Jehovah. Jehovah's not talking to them. But somehow Jehovah's doing all these changes. It doesn't make any sense. So comment down below. Let me know what you think. X-Wall killed Bethelite. Serenity.
I already said that.
Yeah. the ex Watchtower couple, ex Jehovah's Witness couple, signing out.